Today we have with us Miss Caroline Gates, who is the Development Manager at Women Giving Back. Women Giving Back supports women and children in crisis as a first step to stability, providing quality clothing at no cost, assisted by a caring and committed community. What inspired you to work in nonprofit development?
Well, I actually came from the other side of it. I worked for a government contractor and I did communications and corporate social responsibility for them, which means finding nonprofits to partner with and give them money. So I was on the other side of it prior to coming here, and I had set up our partnership with Women Giving Back. So when this position opened, the Nicole Morris, who's our executive director, invited me to apply. So this is actually my first job in nonprofit, although obviously I was working with nonprofits on the other side of it, giving them money.
That's really interesting to hear. How is it like working for, how is it like working as from a I don't know, nonprofit now?
It's different. It's kind of a different skill set, although some of it's similar. It's a lot of talking to people and making relationships. So that part of it is similar. But there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of different things to do all the time. We always say we have to wear a lot of different hats.
How did you first get connected with Women Giving Back?
Well, so as I said, in my former job, I created the partnership with Women Giving Back. So we had partnerships with a bunch of nonprofits, and that was my job, was running the corporate social responsibility program. So one of our employees had suggested Women Giving Back as a potential partner. So I started meeting with Nicole and some of the other people from programming and stuff, and created the partnership. And we came in and volunteered. I've been here as a volunteer, as a corporate volunteer, and now as staff at the same events. So it's interesting to see it from the same events from both sides.
So how long have you been working there?
So next month it'll be a year.
What does your role as development manager look like day to day?
It's different every single day. So today, for instance, I had some corporate groups here volunteering, and sometimes I'll take them around and give them a tour of the facility, tell them about our organization, what we do, how we do it. I do that a lot. We had the Fortessa store at One Loudon had done a fundraiser for us, and they came and delivered, those big comedy, those gigantic checks where they take a picture of you with the gigantic check.
Yeah.
So they came and did that, and they gave us a real check too. So we do a lot of those kind of things. I go out and speak at different events. I, I'm planning an event for interns right now. I had meetings with the rest of the staff. So every day it's just something a little different. Oh, writing grants, that's another thing that I do a lot of. It's all sorts of stuff.
What's been the most rewarding part of your work so far?
So what's really not unique, but less common with nonprofits is that we can see the people that we serve face to face because they come to our facility. Sometimes when you give to an organization, you give money or you help behind the scenes, but this is the people come to the facility and you see them, you can talk to them, and you kind of know the impact you're making. So in the winter, we do Santa's Workshop, which is one of our big events. And the way it works is we have a lot of volunteers, and they come and they are each assigned one of our clients, and you help them shop and in the boutique. But then also we have like a toy store. So you're given a list of these are their kids, these are their names, these are their ages, and you're helping them set up their holiday for their kids. So you really get to learn their stories and see how you're directly affecting this family. So that's pretty rewarding.
Was there a moment that made you realize this organization was making a real impact?
There's a lot of them. There's some every day. We hear a lot of different stories from clients or former clients, just stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think of. We had a client who, well, she had contacted us back in the fall to set up a coat drive for us. And then we got talking to her, and she'd been a client of ours years ago. She left an abusive relationship with nothing, and she had her son with her, and she'd come to us and gotten clothing, um, which helped her get a new job. So the clothing, people kind of think of it as sort of a fluffy thing, but it does help with when you do an interview, feeling confident in how you project yourself. But it also, she needed clothing for court, um, which was something I hadn't thought about either. So it's providing, you know, an essential, an essential item. Um, I don't know if that answered the question.
No, that's nice to hear that you were able to make an impact on her life.
And then she came, and it's always nice when they come back around as somebody who wants to volunteer with us because they were impacted.
For listeners who may not know, what is Women Giving Back's mission?
So you summed it up. So we provide clothing, high quality clothing, diapers, and other essentials free of charge to women and children in crisis. So that can be in crisis can be living below the poverty line. We live in a very expensive area, so a lot of times once people have paid for food and their car, there just isn't enough left over. So it can be that. It can be people leaving a trafficking situation or domestic violence, um, yeah, or even incarceration. So everything we provide is free of charge for our clients.
What are the some of the biggest needs facing women and children your organization serves?
Well, diapers is always an issue. It's something that we all kind of know that you need. We do have a diaper pantry, and we serve about 550 infants per month. And those people are on some kind of assistance typically, but it's not enough to pay for diapers. And diapers are important not just for the health and hygiene of the child, but parents can't take their kids to daycare if they don't have diapers. And if you can't take them to daycare, you can't have a job. So it's all these little things that add up, having the right clothing to feel good in your interview, to get a job. All of these little things add up to help you, make your way to stability. Um, so there's all sorts of needs. Childcare is always a need. We that's not our focus, but that's a great need too. And then we have a partnership with Loud and Hunger Relief. They have a satellite office. I'm pointing, it's right over there in our building. So the need for all of that in our area has grown, and people are usually surprised because we live in such a wealthy area that what the need actually is.
Do you think people overlook the fact that people are in need other than like that this is like a wealthy county?
I think people are surprised. I used to sub for Loudoun County Public Schools, and you'd be surprised with the kids going home with backpack buddies, like the food in their backpacks for the weekend, because that's how they eat. Or they eat from, student lunch is another thing. And people, I think, just don't think that that's happening because we live in such a wealthy area, but we live in a very expensive area. Um, yeah, so, yeah.
How does clothing and basic necessities impact confidence and stability?
Well, like I said, it helps with things like getting a job. If you need to go to court, it helps with that. But for kids too, having clothing that fits, that they feel good in, that they're not going to be made fun of, where they fit in with their peers, it helps them to focus on what they're there for, is school. They're not there to get picked on or to worry about how they look. And obviously, school is another thing that can get you to a more stable place eventually.
What makes Women Giving Back different from other nonprofits?
Well, I'd like to think that we aren't the only ones doing this, but we focus a lot on our clients, their dignity and their empowerment. We want them to feel confident. We don't really want them to feel like they're just kind of getting a handout. We want them to feel good when they come into our facility. That's why we don't just give them a bag of clothing. Our boutique is set up so it looks like a department store. So when they come in, they feel welcomed, but they also get to choose what they feel good in, what they like. If they have, if they want more modest clothes or just they have a different kind of taste. It's all about empowering them and not just kind of giving them whatever, but making them feel really good. But I'd like to think we're not the only ones who do that.
Can you share a story that really represents the heart of the organization?
Um, well, I've shared the one the story of the woman who had been our client and was doing the coat drive. So that's kind of one of the main ones. I'm trying to think of other ones. I mean, we just have a lot of clients who will come in and they'll come in and say, I've been coming here for years, and this is the last time you're going to see me except as a volunteer because I just got a job. And that's always really exciting for us because the idea, as much as we love our clients, the idea is for them not to need us, for us to get them somewhere where they can take it over themselves. And that's really what it's about. It's about supporting them while they need it, but then helping them to go off on their own.
How important are volunteers and community partnerships to your success?
They're really important. So we're only a staff of, well, we just hired a new person, so a staff of 11 people, but we serve 7,000 women every year. We have between 700 and 1,100 that come through just the boutique, and that's only one of our programs every single month, plus the 550 diapers and diaper clients and other programs that we do. So we can't run without the volunteers. We get about 3,000 volunteers a year, and it adds up to about the hourly equivalent is about 16 additional employees. So we would have to more than double our staff to do what the volunteers do for us. They're essential.
What kind of impact have you seen on families over the years?
Well, I've only been here for 1 year, but I just think like, the gratitude of being able to, like I talked about Santa's workshop, being able to provide for your kids and let your kids sort of feel, have that childhood experience of having like a great holiday, not feeling left out, not feeling different. Um, yeah. And then again, like the clients who come in and say, I just got a job, and having the right outfit to present yourself the way you need to present yourself to make that happen.
What are some misconceptions people have about women in crisis situations?
Well, so going along with us living in such a wealthy area, I think people are really surprised by who the clientele is. It can be your neighbor, it can be somebody at school, it can be somebody at your church or community organization. Especially recently, there's just been so much economic instability, people getting laid off, particularly in this area because of all the federal government workers. People who never thought that they would ever need assistance do. So it can be anybody. And that's kind of a message that we really try to drive home with our volunteers is, these are people just like you and me.
How can local communities better support women and children in need?
Well, there's all kinds of things you can do. Um, Obviously, giving things, diapers, food, assistance maybe for transportation, all of those sorts of things. Childcare is very important to allow the parents to be able to work. That's another thing. But anything you can do makes a difference. Um, I don't know. I don't know how great of an answer that is.
How do you build relationships with donors and supporters?
Um, well, so the donors kind of come from all different. We have corporate donors who, so that was who I was. I was, the person who gave out the money. So we have those kind of donors that are corporations. We have individual donors. A lot of our donors are also volunteers. So it's just kind of talking to them and getting to know them, getting to know what's important to them and the ways that they want to help. Because people really do want to help. They just want to be asked. But yeah, it's just building relationships with them and just getting to know them.
What makes someone want to continue supporting a nonprofit long term?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of it.
What makes someone want to continue supporting a nonprofit long term?
Well, I think that if you can see the success stories, I think that that's really rewarding. I think that's what keeps people coming back. And then also, as much as we're providing for our clients, our volunteers really get a lot out of it too. Some of our volunteers have little social groups. They get together for lunch, or some of our retired volunteers moved here and didn't know anybody, and this is how they meet people. This is how they form a community. So that keeps them coming back as well. They feel like part of it, and they feel like they're making a difference.
What are some creative fundraising or community engagement strategies that have worked well?
Well, it's interesting. We have high schoolers that will sometimes approach us, or even we didn't even know about it. We had two high school groups, DECA groups, that did some stuff earlier this year. One of them, they just decided that they were going to solicit florists and grocery stores and stuff to get them to donate flowers. And then they made bouquets that they sold, and then they gave us the money for it. So that was sort of like a creative thing that they came up with that they could do. We had another high school group that put on a fashion show, and I think they sold tickets to it, and they ran a clothing drive at the same time. So it's just these interesting ways that young people can come up with that are ways that they can get involved using what they know how to do or what they're interested in.
What skills are most important for someone wanting to work in nonprofit leadership?
Flexibility is important because things change day to day. Um, being a quick learner is important, and then being comfortable doing a whole lot of different things. You with such a small staff, everybody has to do a lot of different types of have a lot of different types of skills, but then you have to be comfortable with when you come in the morning, what you thought you were going to work on that day. Maybe that's not what you're going to do. Maybe you're going to do something else because something else came up. But that can be, you're never bored. That's for sure. But if you're somebody who likes to do the same thing every day, it might be a little challenging.
So you're always like on the go when you're like working a nonprofit.
Yeah, and you're always responding. You're trying to be proactive and plan, of course, but then there's just stuff that comes up and you've got to be responding to it. Um, yeah.
How do you balance compassion with the operational side of running programs?
That's tough because you want to help everybody. And so, but sort of have to think about, as much as a nonprofit is about helping people, you do kind of have to think about it as a business a little bit because you can't continue to help people if you run yourself dry. You have to be able to sustain yourself so that you can continue helping, people over the long term. And that's kind of what you have to keep in mind. Not obviously making a profit, but just keeping yourself sustainable, with the goal of with the big picture in mind of keeping yourself around, keeping your organization afloat.
What advice would you give young people interested in making a difference?
Volunteer. That's great. I mean, it's a great way to sort of see how different organizations, how they run, or how they help those they serve. You can maybe get yourself into a leadership position. You can develop those kind of skills. We do have teenagers who, if who've been here for a while, they end up as sort leads, or they come up with their own sort of projects to do. You can kind of have leadership skills that way. But you can do simple things like a clothing drive or pet food drive, anything like that. There's all sorts of things, and be creative because there's just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done or shouldn't be done.
If you could instantly solve one issue in your community, what would it be?
Um, I would say probably income inequality is pretty important to have a more of a level playing field, or at least have people have the same chance at everything. It's tough if your family is really struggling and mom has to work three jobs and all that. It's just not a level playing field. So to have everybody have a equal shot at success or just doing what they wanted, achieving their goals.
What's one small action listeners can take today to help others?
Um, well, you can always, you can sign up for a volunteer shift somewhere. You can make a donation, whether that's um, an item like I said, we take diapers and clothing, but shelters will take pet food, litter, or even like a monetary donation. Every little bit does help.
What keeps you hopeful?
Well, I think just seeing the success stories, and then also, people really do, like I said, they really do want to help. And when we've had a need and we put it out to the community that, for instance, last summer, we get diapers from the DC area diaper bank, some of them, not all of the diapers that we need. And we just didn't get a shipment one month. And the community really pulled together to make sure that we had what we needed so that our clients could get what they needed. So if you ask, people will help, and that's really heartening to see.
How can people support women giving back beyond donations?
Well, you can make a donation, like a monetary donation. You can donate clothing, shoes, and diapers, wipes, all of those sorts of things. We have a list on our website. But you can sign up to be a volunteer. You can host a clothing drive. Those are always helpful.
Where can listeners learn more or get involved?
So our website is WomenGivingBack.org. So all the information is there. We have drop downs that'll you can see how to volunteer, how to donate, what we take, when our donation days are.
What are your hopes for the future of the organization?
Well, I hope that we continue to grow. We started in 2007. It was they were only open once a month. They ran out of like borrowed spaces and basically just a closet. And it was just a couple women who had been working in a shelter and just saw that the women there were fed, but they didn't have the clothing that they needed, and they saw a need and filled it. So they started three women basically working out of a closet, and now we have 26,000 square feet, and we serve 7,000 women a year and process about $6 million worth of goods. So we can keep growing. The need in the area is growing. So, there's a need for what we do. So yeah, just to keep growing and being able to help more people.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your experiences, insights, and the incredible work being done at Women Giving Back. It was truly inspiring hearing about the impact your organization has on women and families in the community. We really appreciate your time and everything you do to help others. And thank you to everyone listening. Don't forget to support and learn more about the amazing work being done at Women Giving Back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.